welcome back to Usapang Bayan. Kasama pa rin po natin si Mr. Ben Kritz. Sir, there are some places in the Philippines that use motorcycle as a mode of transportation when it comes to exploring the beauty of that place. In Cebu, they use habal-habal. I'm not sure if you've already heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it's a good idea to use such when exploring the beauty of a country?
If you're on the bike by yourself, what I've seen with 4 and 5 people on the bike at one time, frankly, that scares me to no end. And they also have another version I've seen where they'll put they'll put the wings out to the side and call it a Skylab. That kind of thing is just as a
accident waiting to happen.
Oh, I can't believe that people manage to survive that. And as a foreigner coming here, I've been to different places, so I don't get culture shocked. But that's something that made me stop in my tracks the first time I saw that. I have yet to ride on that kind of setup. I just can't do it.
So, Ben, you've heard about a lot of talk in trying to curtail the supposedly high growth of the automotive industry in the Philippines. And among the proposals that they have is to have additional taxes on both fuel and on the vehicles. What can you say about that?
Well, let's take that in two parts, okay? The tax on fuel, for example. There's been many tax proposals covering a whole lot of ground all through the economy. I think the excise tax on fuel proposal that they are proposing now, which will raise the taxes and index them to inflation, I think that is a very good proposal, actually. From an economic standpoint, that's basically my background is economics. From an economic standpoint, that's a very good idea. And even with the increases in the taxes, the cost of fuel here and the cost of the taxes will still be very reasonable compared to the Philippines regional peers. So I don't have a problem with the excise tax on fuel. The excise tax on vehicles, however, that's another matter. As it's been proposed, I see a lot of flaws in that idea. A few weeks ago, in my business column that I write 3 times a week, I had taken up the issue, and I actually discovered that as it's proposed now, the adjustment of the tax brackets for the vehicle excise tax on the most inexpensive cars, in other words, vehicles with a price tag up to 600,000 pesos, actually will serve as a tax shelter for buyers of those vehicles. And what it would do is it would encourage a lot of people who would otherwise afford the vehicles in the middle section, which would be between, say, 600,000 and 2 million. It will encourage a lot of those to scale down a little bit and buy the cheaper vehicles. And so what I think is going to happen is we're going to have a proliferation of these lower cost cars. And there's nothing wrong with the cars. I mean, they're fine vehicles. But if the idea is to reduce vehicle volume, they've taken a step in the wrong direction with that. As far as raising the vehicle excise tax, I'm not sure that's a bad idea either, but I think they've come up with a very bad proposal, and they need to revisit that and do a lot more work.
Well, just to follow up on that question in terms of increasing the taxes so that it curbs the demand, don't you think that's not fair to the commuting public or the riding public, because there is no alternative?
Yeah, that's exactly why I said that focusing on building up a public transport infrastructure is very important. You have to give people a choice. I don't like to drive into the city every day with the traffic congestion. It's a 2-hour commute. I live 15 kilometers away, but I don't have an option a lot of times, and a lot of other people don't either. And now that your first part of your question, increasing the taxes to curb, the growth of the industry. No, I don't think that's a good idea. I think imposing new taxes or outright bans or limitations on vehicles to try to curb the vehicle volume that's counterproductive. If it works, it'll only be a short term, but the industry is going to continue to grow. So I think they really need to spend a lot more time analyzing what they're doing and try to manage, rather than trying to curb the growth, they need to manage the growth and accommodate the growth. And I don't have all the answers for that, which is why I say a lot more work needs to be done on it.
Well, sir, since you're not very much inclined with that idea, can you suggest an alternative proposal on how the government could address the traffic congestion in the Philippines aside from improving the public transportation?
Well, that's a tough problem, isn't it? Because as we've said, if there's no alternative, there's not much we can do. Now, I will give the government credit. In the last few years, we have seen some forms of new public transportation being introduced, such as the point-to-point bus systems. That's a good idea. I also think that they can try some measures such as giving companies incentives to let more of their employees telecommute. That's a suggestion that's been raised through the years, and it doesn't work for everybody. But we have an economy that has a big component of the BPO sector in it. Customer service and things like that, which is internet and communications based.
Yes.
You don't necessarily need to have people be in a specific place to do that. So if they could give employers incentives to keep their employees off the road, that would help. Those are small measures, but every little idea like that would help.
Actually, I'd like to add to that in that if the government were, for example, allowed their citizens to transact through the internet rather than physically applying for a license and so on, then that will be a big help.
There's other suggestions like that too. A lot of things that they do here, frankly, are very arcane. So they could improve a lot just by bringing stuff up to the 21st century. If I could put it that way. But I think it also requires every sector of the government and of the economy to really think about, if they want to solve the transportation problem, they can't make it just a transportation problem, an MMDA problem. Everybody has to contribute to that solution.
When you live in the States, you've lived in the States, and I'm sure you've been to many other countries that have subway systems. And as we all know, even here in Asia, we have many countries that have subway systems like Thailand. What are your thoughts on that? Should the Philippines or Metro Manila go into having a subway?
That's been proposed, and I don't know how far that idea has advanced so far. That's pretty extensive engineering and rather expensive. However, if it can be safely done and there are the resources for it, sure, why not? If your roads are congested, you have two places to go: underground or in the air.
Well, just as a follow-up question on that, I'd just like to find out if a subway system is one of the more efficient mass transport systems available, or are there other better mass transport systems available?
In just terms of simple mathematics, any type of high volume transport is a better idea. A train can carry more people than a bus, more people than almost any other form of transportation. So any kind of light rail system is a good idea. whether that's a surface system above ground
Underground.
or a subway system. That would be preferable. I know that they have also developed bus rapid transit in some places, and they're planning on doing it in some areas of Metro Manila here too. That's fine, but that's still a lower volume system. You know, so they need to explore. They need to explore several different ideas and apply different solutions where you know they will work best.
Well, sir, there's another policy which will be implemented by the government within a 6-month period, and it's called the No Window Hours policy. Do you think this would encourage people to buy more cars now that when your vehicle is under the color coding scheme, you are not allowed anymore to go out or be given that window hours?
I don't think it really will make a difference, to be honest with you. I know that there's been a big debate about that. I don't personally know anyone under the window hours scheme. I don't personally know anybody who would wait until the window hours and then go out and get back home before the window hours closed. It doesn't seem to be a big issue to the public, so I don't think it will make much of a difference.
Well, we will talk more about that later. Please stay tuned. Magbabalik pa rin po ang Usapang Bayan. Kasama pa rin po si Mr. Ben Kritz.